Happy holidays, everyone, and welcome to Total Apex Sports. This is the fourth and goal. I'm Andrew with our guests Brandon, Lawson, and Bobby once again joining us. Let's talk about yesterday's Christmas slate for the NFL. First off, we got to talk about Lawson Steelers. Kind of, I thought they would have been. I didn't think the pass rush would be that good against the Steelers without Chris Jones, but it proved to be pretty big deal. So, Lawson, what did you think about the Steelers' performance?
Well, just in terms of the pass rush where you started, that's been my biggest thing with Russell Wilson over the totality of his career is he tends to take the snap, sit in the pocket, and wait and wait and wait. And if he doesn't make a decision within the first 2.5 seconds, he's taking a sack, and he's not as young as he used to be. His legs aren't as good as he used to be, even
Yeah,
though he did have the rushing touchdown in which he got to the edge and showed that he still has some pop in his step. However, there were many times in the pocket where I'm sitting there watching and the ball gets snapped and nothing's open and I'm screaming at the TV, Russ, just step up in the pocket, to where as opposed to an 8 yard sack, it's a 3 yard sack and it's not a drive killer. But we over the past 2 weeks we have forced 4 fumbles. We have not picked one of them up. There were
hmm
It was a lack of effort to start the game. We were only down six at half. It's not like we were down, double digits. It's a one score game at half, and there were a couple tip balls that we didn't get. There were plenty of opportunities on the field. Now, Terrell Austin, I have no idea as to why we let Brian Flores walk out the door. Terrell Austin, for whatever reason, and
yeah,
it's not due to lack of talent on the defensive side. You're telling me that the Kansas City Chiefs, who had to move Joe Tooney to left tackle to help, or to in place of DJ Humphries, and Jawan Taylor, who was questionable going into the game, 0 sacks.
hmm
That cannot happen. If you want to beat the Chiefs, you're gonna have to win the turnover battle by at least two, and you're gonna have to pressure Mahomes all game long. And it was just simply too easy.
right. Brandon, the Chiefs are actually the only one of the four teams that hasn't scored over 30 points this whole year. Like, and they're only actually starting to get better. Xavier Worthy's been, at least for fantasy wise, he's been very good. Um, you know, even though we still doubt them, like, how much noise do you think they'll make at the playoffs?
I think yesterday, for me, the Chiefs are back to being the Chiefs. Um, for me, yesterday, that was their most impressive win they've had all year. They played from start to finish, outplayed Pittsburgh. I was surprised by that. For me, the way they use him Worthy is, I think that's going to be successful going forward, because if they, especially the one touchdown he had out of the backfield, like Cooper Cup,
Yeah,
um, looking like Cooper Cup back there, using him out of the backfield, and yeah, a safety matchup. Good luck. Like you're not gonna catch him. So I digress. I think the AFC playoffs will be Kansas City or Buffalo at this point. Still, I still believe this Buffalo Bills team. But I think Kansas City. I think Kansas City is probably going to be the AFC representative in New Orleans in February after yesterday. I just can't see anybody beating them when it matters.
yeah. Um, Bobby, I know you're more of an NFC guy, but in terms of like going to the Ravens Houston game, um, you know, in terms of CJ Stroud just drop off this year compared to previous his rookie year. I guess was this something you were like surprised by, or is this more of like indictment of like just lack of offensive line help and maybe the Bobby
La-
Slowick being not as good?
yeah, lack of offensive line, lack of weapons because of injury.
Yeah.
I didn't expect the Texans to be as good as last year. I think
Okay. Okay, that makes sense.
I thought they were going to have a little bit of a slump, like with Stroud. Like, you finally get some tape on them, things like that. But to go to the Chiefs game real
Hmm.
quick, on Monday, I mentioned I think that game was telling more for the Chiefs than the Steelers. Like they showed up. they're playoff ready. Like,
Yeah.
I know they're a little banged up, but you do not want to play the Chiefs in the playoffs, and I think they're going to be the AFC representative as well. And I think, unfortunately, to go against my Lions, I think they're going to three-peat. But I took the Steelers plus 3.5. I thought it was going to be a closer game than it was. And the Chiefs, they showed up and showed out, man. Like Kelsey getting the receiving touchdown record from Tony Gonzalez, doing the dunk, even though I can't stand his girlfriend and sometimes him and his brother.
Oh, come on. His brother? Hey, his brother?
Well, they're just shoved down your throat a little bit.
I get that perspective.
Like the Buffalo Wild Wings commercial is funny, but I don't need to see them every time, every other commercial or everything that they're doing. I don't need
that. As an Eagles guy, I had to challenge you on that. But
yeah, I don't need to be Bobby Kelsey, so But with the Ravens, impressive win. Like I think they're going to be coming along, further in the next couple weeks. Getting into the playoffs. I wouldn't want to play the Ravens in the playoffs. Honestly, it's between the three teams. It's between the Chiefs, Bills, and Ravens. I think that's been like all year for the AFC, and the other teams are just lucky to be there.
Real quick, I want to go back to Steelers because I just thought of this. Like, Lawson, in terms of like Russell Wilson, do you see potentially like this would be kind of, I don't know, risky to do in the playoff, but would we, like, I know Fields was out, I think, this game. Would we maybe potentially see him more during the playoff game, like in the wild card or something like that?
See, it's tough because how the field basically stands, if and I'm going to say when we beat Cincinnati next week, we'll essentially lock up the 5 seed unless Baltimore loses to Cleveland, which all of us would be gobsmacked if Baltimore loses to Cleveland or what's left of the Cleveland Browns. So we're essentially locked into the 5 seed. So we're going to Houston in a wild card round. I expect Tomlin to let Russell die on the sword. Not to put it in, that lethal of terms, but I don't expect Russell's going to be on a short leash because, in my opinion, we've had 3 seasons in one. There was the beginning of Justin Fields season in the beginning in which, we're winning. His numbers aren't, Google Gaga numbers, but he's playing winning football. He's not turning the ball over. And then Russell Wilson comes in and it's like, oh my God, they're top 10 in scoring. They're looking awesome. They're not turning the ball over. And then we have these 3 games in 11 days in which we go to Philly, to Baltimore, and host the Kansas City Chiefs. And all year, that was my 3-game stretch. And I want to see, if we're going to be a Super Bowl contending team, how healthy are we going to be? And what are we going to look like in these 3 games? And we've looked more pretenders than contenders.
Yeah.
And in theory, anybody can get hot in the postseason. We've seen it multiple times. We saw it in, I want to say it was 2018 when we saw Jacksonville get all the way to the AFC Championship game. So weird things can happen. And in a one-off game scenario like the NFL is, anything can happen. There could be an injury. Someone could just wake up on the wrong side of the bed and have an off day. But in terms going back to the original question, could you see more Justin Fields? Yeah, if he's healthy. I want to see them if Russell is going to continue to be the starter, which I expect him to be going forward, maybe not into next year. We'll get into that at a later date. But if you're going to put Justin Fields in the game, give that man an option to throw the ball down the field. Because whenever Justin Fields enters the game, all the defense has to do is just stack the box and watch Justin Fields. Because he's not throwing the ball.
Mm-hmm.
I got a couple questions for you, Lawson, because I don't pay attention to the Steelers as much as you do. Is Russ is he the long-term solution at quarterback for the Steelers currently, or are they looking to rebuild through the draft as far as this year, or?
See, the thing with the Steelers, and it's an issue, but it's a semi-good issue to have. We're not good enough to get a top, 8, 12, 10 pick, but we're not bad. But we're not bad enough when it comes to the draft to where we're competing and contending for Super Bowls. I've seen reports that they want to keep Russell Wilson. I just saw earlier this morning that the projected contract is 3 years, 140, which is around $46 million a year. Now, I think that's insanely too high. I would be more on the side of, he Russ had a fantastic stretch of football that was like, okay, I can see this, but after the past 3 games, he hasn't shown that okay, he deserves to be the long-term starter. I was team pro Justin Fields, and then when you look historically, Mike Tomlin has said, "Oh, no one's gonna lose their job due to injury," and that's what happened. Russell Wilson's calf got healthy,
Yeah.
and then Russell Wilson was back to being the starter. Now, I would love to keep them both. Obviously, we're not going to keep them both for $1 million a piece. That's not going to happen, and it's going to be hard when we spend the most money on defense we spend the most money on defense than any other team in the NFL. So it's going to be interesting as to who we potentially bring in. Could we see I wouldn't want this, but could we see a 1-year relationship with Aaron Rodgers, or maybe throw a bag at Sam Darnold, or whoever the case may be? I am
Yeah.
open to all plans on the table.
The other question I have: do they have a package where where Fields and Russ are on the field at the
I don't
same
know
time?
if they have one. I have not seen one. They haven't done one all year long. The only time that I've seen Justin Fields throw the ball when he's come in on like a read option or something, it was when we lost a couple weeks ago in the snow on Thursday in Cleveland, in which it was a
Oh, yeah.
That's right. It was a deep
yeah,
ball.
it was
Yeah.
a semi RPO where he faked the handoff, took 2 steps back, and just threw a go ball to GP, and it was incomplete. So if you're going to utilize Justin Fields, yes, his legs are awesome, but he has potential in his arm because he still has a very strong arm. It's not always accurate, but he has a really strong arm, and something that you at least need to have a wrinkle in to put something on tape is, oh, they might let Justin Fields just do a 7-step drop and huck it down the field.
Yeah, because my mind first went to Ben
Yeah.
Johnson and what he would be able to do with Fields as a second weapon and 2 quarterbacks on the field and just
it would look funky, but Ben Johnson is he's just that level of weird where we've seen Penei Sewell split out wide. And it's like, oh, why would you put the best right tackle in the NFL out wide? Oh, because he's going to run a 3-yard stop route and then just hook and ladder. Or just something weird like that. It would be awesome to see, and that's what I was interested to. Okay, are we going to see a potential double pass? Well, if you have both quarterbacks on the field, like I could see them in a split back package where it's Russ, Najee, or Warren, and then Justin Fields on the other side, and maybe it's just a weird triple option double pass something. But just putting something on tape is almost as good as running a successful play. Right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. To finish off like the Ravens game, I think it kind of sucks for CJ Stroud. He's like 0-3 against the Ravens.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I actually he has not
Hasn't
thrown
scored
a touchdown against the Ravens. Yeah, so it's just one of those things where I think this season kind of exposed like Bobby Slowick, and last year the play calling was matched by elite play by Stroud, and obviously most of their guys were healthy last year as well.
Mm-hmm.
So that was more of the big picture stuff. But in terms of like the MVP this year, I know every week there can be a different player getting discussed for MVP. I don't know how much you watched this game. How solidified is the MVP for Lamar Jackson?
For Lamar, just in general, I think that he's played.
Because I think Josh Allen's still a favorite, but
it's tough because when you look at Lamar's numbers just in this game, he was good. He was efficient. He was 10 for 15 for 168, 2 touchdowns, no picks. He also added the 87 rushing yards on 4 carries, including the 48-yard touchdown run. His numbers for the season they're sensational. They're better than both of his previous MVP numbers. The only issue is you have other players that are also having MVP type-esque numbers. You have someone on his team that might take votes away from him depending upon who the voter is. You have another running back in Philadelphia that is probably going to have who's probably going to take up some votes. You have people in Detroit like
Yes.
Bobby that's hey
Jared Goff.
we're going to bang the drum for Jared Goff, and then you have people in Buffalo that's okay. Well, Josh Allen's ceiling has been sensational this year, and they all have credible arguments. If someone were to come up to me, if 5 different people were to come up to me and say, "This is who I think should be the MVP," I got no problem with your case, and I get it. The only problem is when it comes to these awards, only one person gets it, and I don't think anyone's locked it up to this point in the season. And I know due to these awards coming out the weekend or a couple days before the Super Bowl, people are going to, for example, if Lamar wins it and he stinks the bed in the AFC Championship game or the divisional round, everyone's going to say, "Oh, Lamar didn't deserve it." Guys, it's a regular season award. Let's not trip too much about it. It's a regular season award, and it should be who had the best regular season, not the best quarterback. So if there's going to be any year to give it to a non-quarterback, then this is this year probably has the strongest case to give it to Saquon, or wouldn't be my vote, but some people are going to vote for Derrick Henry, and that's going to take votes away from his teammate in Lamar Jackson. So to go back to the original question, I don't think it's locked up yet. Lamar has one of the strongest cases, but it's not locked up.
The only problem with the MVP vote is that it's supposed to be for the most valuable player. That's why I would take to their team.
Right.
To their team. So if you take Saquon out, and if he was hurt all year, or if he didn't play for the Eagles, would the Eagles still be good? Yes. If you take Lamar out, even you still got Derrick Henry, or vice versa. You still have that threat, and you still have a good defense. That's why I think that it should be between Josh Allen, because if you didn't have Josh Allen, the Bills would not be in the position that they're in. Same with Jared Goff. If you don't have Goff, the Lions, they may win a few games, but they're nowhere near the top of the NFC like they are right now, especially with all the injuries. That's why, I think it should be between those two guys. I know that Saquon and Henry and Lamar Jackson have all put up great numbers this year, but how valuable, baseball has the WAR stat, right? Wins against replacement. I wonder what their wins against replacement are in those three players, because you still have talented guys around them that can still win games.
Yeah.
Saquon's might be a little higher because of the Saints game he won by himself, essentially.
Yeah.
There was a couple others off the top of my head I can't pinpoint, but there was like a few games that Saquon
the first
won.
Washington game.
Yeah, I would say the first Washington game was awesome.
Second Washington game too. He
would have, if we would have pulled it out.
If they would have pulled it out, absolutely.
Oh
yeah, to go off of Bobby's point, it all depends on who's your voter, because there are some voters that who's more valuable to their team, and then there are some people whose belief is best player on the best team gets the award, or just best player in general regardless, or there are some people who believe it's a quarterback award and it's going to go to the quarterback to the best team. Do I agree with those? No, I think it should be, like you said, either who's most valuable to their team or who had the best season. Either or, I can live with 100%.
Yeah.
Let's move on to Thursday Night Football tonight. We have the Seahawks going into Chicago. The thing is, I want to say the Seahawks should win, but I feel like this could be another Cardinal situation where, it's against Carolina, in a must-win spot, and then they just poop the bed or whatever. But in terms of Chicago, obviously their defense isn't the same. But, Caleb did have a better game last week. I don't know. It's so weird because he would have games where, in terms of, fantasy at least, he would either have 5 points or 20-plus points. It's, just because of, the volume. And he hasn't thrown a pick, I think, since, October. So something kind of – he fumbled a ton, but – Bobby, what do you think about this Paris team going against the Seahawks team that needs this win?
I would think that the Seahawks would kind of roll this game. They need it. The Bears
Yeah.
the Bears are a dumpster fire right now. Interim head coach, their offense is night and day, depending on the drive. Like, it literally isn't game by game. It's literally by drive. Like watching the Bears play the Lions the other week. I mean, Caleb was throwing things 20 yards past receivers. The next, drop back, he would throw a dime to DJ Moore, whoever. The Seahawks definitely need this game, especially with the Rams. I mean, the Cardinals just got eliminated. The Rams and the 49ers are out, but they need to catch the Rams. They got to, and with 3 teams making it in the North, there's not going to be much wiggle room for those other wild card spots. So this is a must-win game for the Seahawks. I'm not sure who they're playing week 17 or week 18.
Rams. It'd be the Rams. It'd be Rams.
So that might be for the division. So there's not many opportunities for them to give away games. And like I said, the Bears, sometimes they look like, they're going to be the hottest team for a new coach to go to. And other times it looks like, man, I wouldn't accept a job from the Bears. So,
yeah. Going off of that,
the Seahawks, if I were to put money on this game, I would take the Seahawks laying whatever points they're laying.
It's just tough because go ahead, Andrew.
No, I'm gonna bring up Bobby, what do you think about the Ben Johnson head coach rumor going for him to go there?
It's tough because Ben Johnson I believe he was offered the Carolina Panthers job in the offseason this past year. He didn't take it. He wants the right situation. Is the Bears the right situation? I'm not sure. I think he would flourish in that offense because of all the weapons. I'm still not really sold on Caleb, but it's got to be the right scenario with him. And now I believe Pete Carroll might be in the mix for the Chicago Bears. That's the hot rumor in the last 24 hours or so. But I think between the 2 coordinators from the Lions, between Aaron Glenn and Ben Johnson, I think Ben Johnson will be the first one to at least get an offer for a job. Whether he takes it or not, that's another thing. But because of Detroit's creative offense and what they come up with scheme-wise every week, I think people value that more than the defensive side. But, Aaron Glenn would be a good candidate for that position as well, to build up that defense. He's been doing great with the little that he has in Detroit this season. So he should be a candidate too. I don't want to lose either of them, especially to a division opponent. I'm terrified of Ben Johnson going there because who knows what he can unlock with all ththose weapons. I mean, they got DeAndre Swift, the former Lion. They got Keenan Allen, DJ Moore, my boy at tight end, Komet. If Caleb's the man, they just need to beef up that offensive line. And that's why, like, even with, talking on Monday, I always thought they should have kept Fields and just beefed up that offensive line. They could have replicated what they did in Detroit and just build in the trenches and then build yourself out. But that's a scary thought, Ben Johnson going over there.
Yeah, that is interesting because if I actually, obviously, like, in terms of, like, if I were a Bears fan, like, I would want Ben Johnson, obviously. But I don't think Pete Carroll would be, like, that bad of a second option because, like, man, their defense after – I mean, you can say what you want about Eberflus. Like, at least the defense wasn't this bad. Like, after the change, like, it's kind of –
yeah. And Carroll built that team out in Seattle.
Yeah.
With similar – like, if you would have to pick 2 locations that have similar, like, weather and kind of can build the thing, Seattle and Chicago are pretty similar. I mean, Seattle doesn't have the best weather either, and to beef up that defense, like, there's a reason why Chicago's never had a 4,000-yard passer. Like the wind conditions, whatever the case. But you got, Chicago traditionally needs, a run game and a defense, and with either Pete Carroll or Ben Johnson, which seems like the 2 lead candidates, both of them should be able to unlock that city. And I would much rather have Pete Carroll go there but it's going to be scary if Ben Johnson is with that offense.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Speaking on the Saturday game, we have Chargers at Patriots, Broncos at Bengals, and then obviously the Cardinals at Rams. Brandon, which game do you think could be, I guess, the most interesting? Because at least like I would say like two of them have more stakes than the other, but they all have playoff implications, I guess.
Well, as I'm gonna go, obviously the obvious one, as based on Monday. If y'all are listening, Monday is the Broncos Bengals. That's the one.
Yeah,
That's the one I'm
yeah,
gonna be circling, the 4 o'clock slate game. Because the Bengals have a chance to stay alive. The Broncos needed to stay alive. So, well, essentially, if the Broncos win, they essentially wrap it up. So, wrap their spot up. So it's gonna. That's the game right there. That's gonna be circled. But keep an eye. I also would keep an eye on the Chargers Pats game, just because if the Chargers win and the Steelers lose next week, there's a chance we could see Pittsburgh and Baltimore in that 3-6 matchup, and the Chargers get that 5 seed. So there's a chance.
yeah. I will say for the first two games, like Bengals and Pats, the weather could be an issue this weekend. Like it's not gonna be cold, but I've seen it could just probably rain in like at MetLife for the Giants Colts game in Cincinnati, maybe even like the Browns game as well. But yeah, Lawson, in terms of like the Cardinals at Rams. I mean, this should be the Rams game to lose, but I mean, we've seen more interesting things with divisional matchups. Like the Cardinals, they're still going to try for sure.
Yeah, there's for the Cardinals, after being eliminated last week, they essentially have nothing to play for but for pride. Both their starting offensive tackles have already been ruled out the last 2 games of the season. James Conner's questionable with a knee, and he was having a hell of a season. There's essentially no, I'm not saying no reason to play. However, I mean, they could leave the door just wide open for the Seattle Seahawks. If Seattle wins tonight and the Rams win tonight, just like Bobby said, next week it's essentially for the division. Win and get in for both sides. Now for the Rams, this game is a win, and you essentially, yes, you still have to play next week in order to lock up your spot and lock up the division. However, if you win, they have to enter this game tomorrow with a winning get in mindset, and I think that they will. We've seen Kyron Williams have an outstanding season, and no one's talking about him. You know why? Because he's about 540 yards behind second place in rushing. Like that's what's crazy. He has 1,200 yards. He's averaging 20 carries a game. He's, I want to say, 4th or 5th in touchdowns with 15 rushing, and no one's talking about him because we see what Saquon's doing in Philly. We see what Derrick Henry's doing in Baltimore. I expect this game. The line is 6.5, which 6.5 is a lot to lay, especially like you mentioned, it's a divisional game. What do we know about divisional games? Sometimes they're weird, sometimes they're low scoring, sometimes it's a crazy shootout. For me, and I think we already have a betting article up for that game. I don't care what the line is. I think that this is a flex game for the Los Angeles Rams. I don't see anyone guarding either receiver, either Kupp or Puka, and whatever side you double or roll coverage to, the other side is one-on-one, and we know what Cooper Kupp can do, and we know what Puka Nacua can do over these first 2 years of his career. But the key thing is, look at what Arizona's allowed on the ground over the past month. They can't stop a nosebleed. They can't fight themselves out of a wet paper bag. Kyron Williams is going to dominate this game. And if it, in terms of fantasy, if you have Kyron Williams, they're 100% a start because, as mentioned earlier, he's had an outstanding season, and I expect him to continue, especially in this game. I think the Rams win. I think the Rams win big. I think they cruise to a double-digit win, and then all they have to do is win against the Seattle team that they've proven to beat over the past couple of years.
Yeah, it's. I mean, Kyron's had dominant performances against the Cardinals before, and obviously indoors that just benefits offenses in general. But yeah, for the other games to watch for Week 17, Brandon, I saw today that Jalen Hurts was not at practice. Yeah, I think I mean, unfortunately for me, I have him. I have him in a championship league for this week. I'm just gonna have to start somebody else because
Yeah.
I don't think they're not gonna risk it for him to
No,
play
they're not
this
going to
week.
risk it against the Cowboys. Kenny had extra padding at practice. He was at practice, but he had extra padding around the ribs. He did look. I saw a video from John Clark, who's very reputable in that city. Saw a video. He did look mobile, really good and mobile in the limited drills, like the swinging to his left, throwing the ball. So he did look mobile
Mhm.
enough. I rather, and a lot of people in Philly right now are like, "Oh, Tanner McKee, let's start with Tanner McKee." I just say, just if Pickett is good to go, just get Pickett out. Just put Pickett out there. If he gets hurt in the game, we'll see what Tanner McKee does. Because he'll, and also we did sign Ian Book too to the practice squad, and I know Ian Book is terrible. He's always been terrible. I hated him third game. I don't necessarily. I know why we did it because he was in the preseason system, so he knows the offense. So that's why we brought him back for the practice squad. He was on the team in the summer, so he knows somewhat of the playbook. So and he's only an emergency option anyway. I don't think. I think the plan is going to be Saquon, heavy Saquon Barkley this week.
I mean,
Especially
in terms of the rushing record, do you think he's gonna get it in this game? I thought I don't think this is
he
gonna
needs
be true.
268. That's going to be lofty. He would have to do what he did against the Rams plus like 20 more yards.
Yeah.
And this Dallas defense has been playing well the last 3 or 4 weeks, so it's going to be a tougher ask for Saquon to do it. I think he'll have at least 100. I would say on best, I think 140, 145.
Mm.
That'll
Yeah.
put him in a potential range for the Giants game.
Yeah.
I just don't see Dallas giving up that over 200 on the ground to him, especially knowing that Jalen Hurts isn't the quarterback.
I have a question
Yeah.
for Brandon. So I was thinking about this, and I've seen a lot of people discuss it. So if assuming you guys handle your business against Dallas, would you consider, because you're playing New York next week,
Mhm.
would you consider throwing the game so they don't get the number 1 pick? Because they can move all the way down to the 7-8 spot.
Yeah,
So
they could.
so from then going from potentially number 1 and drafting their franchise quarterback to just throw in a monkey wrench in the whole operation. So now they drop from 1 to 8. So now they can't get Shadur or Cam Ward or whatever
Yeah.
quarterback they like.
Mhm.
That would just be an ultimate, throwing a stick in the mud for an organization that we know they need a quarterback. It's obviously it's not ideal, but it's just something to think about. Like, could you see, you guys doing that against a division rival where, yeah, we could probably roll and just, clinch the 2 seed essentially, but they're already almost locked into the 2 anyways.
Yeah.
So it might just be
essentially if we win this week, Lawson, we're
Yeah.
the 2. We're the 2.
Yeah, so
If we
assuming
win
you
the
guys
division, we win the 2. Yeah.
Yeah, so assuming you guys win this week, could you see a situation where it's at least thought about of, oh, let's not do the Giants any favors and just punt this game, and so it hurts their draft stock.
I think for us, the rest aspect of it will be way more into that decision.
Mm.
There's a potential. If Jalen can get cleared for week 18, I'd rather see him for 1 or 2 series.
Mm-hmm.
In that situation, if we win the game this week with either Pickett or McKee at quarterback and somehow, win the game, I'd rather see Jalen stay in rhythm for a couple of series, at least get some in-game action, and then bench him and go with Pickett the rest of the game. I would rather do that just because knowing probably we'll play Washington in the 2-7.
Yeah.
There's possibility it could be Tampa or Atlanta. If Atlanta wins and Washington somehow loses to Dallas in week 18, Washington would probably be on the outs there unless if Tampa wins out and Atlanta wins out. So it could be in a situation where we could either space Tampa or Washington. I'd rather have Jalen fully healthy. So I would potentially see that happening, Lawson, because we've done it before to the Giants. Because in 2020, Jalen Hurts against Washington, we've done it before. We gave Washington the division essentially in the second half after a competitive first half, and we gave
Right.
Washington the division, and the Giants fans were pissed at us. So I could see it happening.
Yeah.
It's not anything to take too serious. It was just a small wrinkle that could be just to be mad Giants fans.
Yeah,
That would be crazy. That would
That would be
absolutely
hilarious.
crazy.
It
Like,
could happen though. And
they're,
I
they're
still
just
think
they're
our
just kneeling the
backups
ball
can
and
beat New
punting.
York. I still think
They're
our backups can beat New York the way they're looking right now. So
Probably, yeah.
It turns into the water boy where they're just kneeling the ball
Yep.
in the third quarter. There's like, yep, like my new offense.
Yeah.
Yeah, like in terms of that, like if depending on how many yards Saquon gets in this week, like would they basically just play Saquon till he gets the record and then just call it for week 18?
Potentially.
I mean, probably.
Yeah.
Potentially.
Yeah.
But I'm glad it's at home. We don't have to go to MetLife, because if it was at MetLife, I would tell you F the record.
Yeah,
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah,
MetLife,
not
but
at
it's
MetLife.
Philly. It's in Philly. I don't have to injuries still could happen, but it's not like it's at MetLife where a non-contact ACL injury could happen
Yeah.
on a whim. So
yeah. In
He also
terms
missed a
of
couple
like,
series last time you guys played the Giants. Remember, if you guys saw the mic'd up clip, he
Yeah.
asked Saquon if he wanted to go back in, and Saquon said, "No, let the young guys eat."
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think
I
the
can
Eagles. I think the Eagles are the only team in the NFC that doesn't need home field advantage.
no, that's
Yeah.
what I'm saying. Yeah,
They can go
I
on
agree
the
with that.
road. I think Detroit needs it to get to the Super Bowl. I think Minnesota needs it. The Eagles, I think, can go into those places and win. They're just talented enough.
Yeah.
We all know, the misconception of Goff can't play outside. So
yeah.
if they have to go to Philly, or if they would have to go there, that'd be a tough route. I think the Eagles, as long as they're in the playoffs, they have a chance. Even if they have to go through Minnesota or Detroit. This is a huge game for the North. I need the Packers out. You will never ever hear me say this, but go Packers.
Go Pack, go. Yeah,
win.
you need it. You need it.
The Lions solidify the first seed. We have the tiebreaker against Minnesota. Even if we would lose the last game, we would still be ahead of them. So go Packers. That's going to be a hell of a game. But with even going back to the Cardinals-Rams game, I wouldn't be surprised if the Cardinals put up a little bit more of a fight than you think, because they're in no man's land as far as the draft. They're not in that 2-3 win team where if a win you could move down 7 spots. They're, I think, probably in about the 15 to 20 range.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they're not. I don't think they're going to be moving
Yeah,
much.
that's
So
true.
they still may be wanting to play spoilers.
Yeah.
This Panthers and Bucks game could be interesting as well, just because of the Falcons. If the Bucks slip up, the Falcons can easily take this division because they have the tiebreaker. They beat them 2 times so far.
Right.
So the Bucks have to
Yeah.
get that game above the Falcons to make the playoffs.
Yeah.
Because like I said, that with 3 teams coming out of the North, you only got 2 spots. I mean, those 2 spots are one of them is Washington. And
Well, like I said, I think if the Falcons beat the Commanders on Sunday night, which I pretty soon think we were going to go into that game, if the Falcons beat Daniels and the Commanders win, and I'm going to say this: Washington fans have been hyped up all week because because of the win. I understand. I would be hyped up too. 10-5, best start since 91 in 15 games. I get that, but I would be careful of this Falcons team if I were Washington. Now, granted, Michael Penix was playing the New York Giants last week, and the New York Giants have been the worst team in 2024. This Washington defense is susceptible to the pass game.
Mm-hmm.
It is susceptible to a running back. We just saw that. And Bijan Robinson might have a good game this week with a quarterback in Michael Penix who can actually test the waters downfield. So, with that being said, if the Commanders lose out, and if Tampa wins and Atlanta wins out, Atlanta will be the 4 seed, playing probably the Vikings. The 7 seed will probably be the NFC South second place in Tampa, and then Washington could be on the outs if they lose to Dallas. Now, I don't think they lose to Dallas in Week 18. I think the Commanders will win against Dallas because I just don't see Dallas stopping Daniels. But the possibility is there that the Commanders might be on the outs if they're not good. Obviously, the potential of Bucks losing to the Panthers is high too. I mean, that's a potential. And all that stuff. So I also think Bob, like you said, it is probably going to be Washington in that 7th spot. I'd rather face Washington in that 7th spot. Tampa has had our number in the play. So I'm not saying I'd rather face Tampa next, but I'd rather face the young James Daniels again than Baker for a second this year.
Yeah, in terms of like seeding, that is interesting. Like I think in terms of like the Ravens, like at this time they're gonna play the Chargers again for the Harbaugh Bowl, the sequel. That would I would actually rather have that than facing Denver, because I felt like even though the Ravens kind of they handled Denver pretty well at home, there were some missed opportunities that if they go in Denver's way, it would have been a way closer game. So in terms of like who's healthy, and like I know that the Chargers they found a bit of a run game with Gus Edwards, but actually he was ruled out for this week. So it's probably going to be either J.K. or Vidal in that spot. But yeah, it's going to be interesting with like the seating and stuff. But for Monday Night Football, I mean, I guess we could wrap up the also talk about this past Monday Night Football with the Packers Saints. I mean, that wasn't even
it was just a beat
close
down
to a game. Yeah, with the first blowout, I think like no score. I mean,
it was the first shutout
I don't know
of the year.
how. Yeah, I mean, Houston put up 2 points, but honestly, it might have been
Did
better
they
if they
put up
just
2
didn't
points?
put up any. Yeah, because of rare Derrick Henry safety. But yeah, Bobby, what do you think about the Liners at Niners? I know we talked about this, but real quick.
Lawson, I saw that you put the article out for the betting. I didn't read it yet, but I would take the Lions by double digits.
Right.
I was trying to get my light behind me as Honolulu blue as possible. These guys are they're gonna come out and have this is their revenge from last year, man. That NFC North championship, or not NFC North, NFC Conference championship game, blowing it in the second half with a weakened 49ers team.
Yeah,
I mean, Detroit's weakened too. Don't get me wrong. We got the most injuries in the league. But they are going to steamroll the 49ers this week. It's not even going to be close. I would say they're going to put up 40 some points and probably only let up about 14. It's going to be a bloodbath, and Detroit is going to roll them. I'm telling you this. Put your money, lay the points, do alternate spreads, get some good payouts, get Jahmyr Gibbs a touchdown, get St. Brown a touchdown, give Goff at least 2 or 3 passing touchdowns. An offensive lineman may score. We may
it's gonna get weird.
Anything's possible in this game on Monday night. Yeah, anything's possible.
So Dan Campbell might, be an eligible receiver at some point. We're gonna win this game.
Yeah.
As it currently,
CMC playing?
Who?
CMC?
Oh.
No.
Yeah. So even more.
As it currently stands, Detroit, the line as of 3:56 Eastern Standard Time, the line is 3.5. Now
3.5. Wow.
That is the line. If you want to, spoiler alert, Bobby, you don't need to check it, because within the first 2 sentences, I said the Detroit Lions is gonna beat the brakes off the Niners.
Heck yeah.
And my official thing is Detroit minus 3.5. But the second sentence after that is if you wanted to go in and do Detroit minus 6.5 to get the whole touchdown, that's also a fantastic play. There is, if you just did as of right now, the Detroit Lions minus 9.5, it's a plus 240. So bettors, go out there, degenerates, go out there and you go hammer that minus 9.5 because I'm back in there right there with you. You're going to beat the brakes off the Niners. There's the Niners. Trent Williams was already it was already said reported that he was going to miss the last 2 games and he was placed on IR earlier this afternoon. But they're just going to steamroll him. I don't care about the injuries. I understand that Kyle Shanahan is a wizard on offense, but they can't keep up. We saw for the first 30 minutes of the NFC Championship game what happened. And I expect it to I expect something just like that and to can honestly continue for about 3.5 quarters. And like you said, we might see Dan Campbell is listed as an eligible receiver down the field. Like it's going to get weird. We already saw what when they wanted to avenge a loss last year, what they did earlier this year to Dallas.
Yep.
They ran it up until Aiden Hutchinson got hurt, and then they're like, okay, we'll stop.
So far in their big blowouts, they've lost somebody every game. They lost Anzalone was a blowout, and there was one more that we lost for the season that was a blowout.
Carlton Davis?
Maybe. I know he got hurt the last game with Montgomery. Or
he got hurt in the Buffalo game.
Yeah.
And McNeil was also hurt.
McNeil was having a great season.
Oh, he was awesome.
Great season.
One of the best run defenders in the NFL.
Yeah. But awesome. The Lions are going to roll this game. Look for if you want a prop bet, look for Jamison Williams. He had his breakout game in the conference championship. They ran a reverse to him, and they I believe they went deep to him. The guy's unguardable. If you watch the Bears game, I mean he ran past the corner and the safety on just a go route, and no shake or nothing. He 84-yard touchdown.
And I'm sorry to interrupt, but he is one of the receivers that it doesn't matter what the coverage is, he can outrun him.
100%.
He can split the safeties in cover 2. For cover 3, he can just run right up the seam, right past the DB. There are 3 or 4 receivers in the NFL that speed. He is the puller of safeties. So what a lot of NFL offense like to do is they like to run clear outs, and he's the ultimate. Him, Tyreek Hill, Xavier Worthy. Those 3 are the ultimate clear out guys. Just run that way as fast as you can and just clear out the safety. And we saw Jared Goff. Holy shit, it was outside, and he threw the 84-yard touchdown on a dime.
Yeah.
He has to slow down to Goff's throws most of the time. It's unreal.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah. But for this segment, basically, I want to know what your guys' fantasy championships are looking like. I mentioned the Hurts thing. I mean, I kind of just have to play Caleb, and then if Hurts is out, then I have to switch in Anthony Richardson. But Lawson, I mean, who do you have in this week?
So in the first round of my playoffs last week, I played against Jalen Hurts, which in theory, you played against a quarterback that ended up getting hurt.
Yeah.
This week, I messed up and forgot to set my lineup before the Christmas Day games and left Baltimore's defense on the bench. Love that for me.
Yeah. I just left Worthy on my bench in my ESPN championship. I left Worthy on my bench.
The dude who I'm going against left Worthy on the bench. So my only dilemma is, do I start? My receivers are Adam Thielen, Jamison Williams, Tyreek Hill, and then on my bench I have Khalil Shakir and Devontae Smith. That's a dilemma. That's a big dilemma because I had J-Mo on the bench last week and he snapped, but it didn't matter because I lost by 40. That's the biggest thing. So the whole matchup, I have Josh Allen, Aaron Jones, Chase Brown, Adam Thielen, J-Mo Williams, Okonkwo I picked up over Jake Ferguson for this week for the matchup. at tight end.
Yeah.
Tyreek Hill, Brandon Aubrey, and I have the Colts defense going against the Giants. And Malik Neighbors did not practice yesterday and will not practice tomorrow due to his toe injury. And he has Joe Burrow, Joe Mixon, who only put up 5.9, Kyron Williams, Jamar Chase, Amon-Ra St. Brown, the tight end strange for Jacksonville, Bucky Irving, Jake Moody, and the Buccaneers defense. So, I mean, I'm projected to win by 2 right now, but I've got a dilemma up until Sunday with those receivers.
Yeah, Jalen's a clear start. I think I'm playing him in another league as well. Actually, for Worthy, I saw the weather for that Bengals game and maybe the Bills game. I actually started Worthy over Cortland Sutton and Garrett Wilson, and that was that helped me a lot. In terms of like what is it? The I forgot what I was gonna say. But yeah, Brandon, do you have any fancy dilemmas?
Well, I just mentioned the Worthy situation for me and my only championship this week. All my other ones, I'm just gonna roll with what I have for the most part because I'm out. I think of all of them except I'm out of the playoffs except for the one. I have Daniels I have Daniels this week, so I'm good at quarterback in the one championship. I have Judy who's questionable. I might actually go ahead and put Marvin in. Marvin Harrison Jr.
Yeah, Judy. I mean, I think once the Browns switched to DTR, like that just tanked the whole everybody. Other than I will say Jerome Ford has been pretty good, but
yeah, he's been straight.
It just sucks. It just sucks with the Browns thing, and I had Judy in some spots. But yeah. Oh, what I was gonna say was I mean, I saw people complaining about Mixon. Like, I was looking at playoff schedules like a few weeks ago. The Mixon thing, that was actually very predictable. Like, because he was going against the Chiefs, who were the top run defense, and the Ravens were like the second best run defense.
Yeah, they're number one in the NFL in yards. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
yeah, I mean,
have over 100 against Baltimore this year, I think so far. So
breaking news: Seahawks placed Kenneth Walker on injury reserve. The result of an ankle injury he suffered in last weekend's game. So, for all you Zach Charbonnet fantasy owners, insta start. Yeah. Or if you're a prop better like myself, who already took his rushing yards, you better count your lucky stars because he's definitely going to get bumped before kickoff.
Yeah.
Yeah, tonight. How about you? Say something?
No, I just said get on that as far as his rushing yards total.
Yeah, jump on it now because in about 5 minutes, his props are only going to go
up to 60, probably 65, 60 or 60 or 70.
I was going to say if you are a DFS better like myself for popular apps such as Price Picks, Underdog, Sleeper, Chalkboard, whatever. I got it earlier at 66.5. I would not be surprised. I would not be surprised if it's at 76 to 80.
Yeah, it's probably what's going to be now.
Yeah.
If it's at 66 before the Walker.
Yeah.
It's at 68.5 on BetMGM.
Wow.
Yeah, get on that because the Bears cannot. I mean, this was even with Eberflus. They were good against the pass.
Yeah,
and then now they can't do both. Now they can't do.
I mean, you blink and they're down 21, so that's like Caleb's going 40 times a game.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm placing that bet right now.
Bobby.
I win. Bad money. I win.
But yeah, Bobby. I don't know if you play fantasy, but
so as far as fantasy football, I'm in one league. I used to run a league until COVID hit, and then it got weird with all the game schedules and stuff. So my league kind of folded. But I joined a dynasty league a couple years ago. I took over a team. I am currently rebuilding. I have 3 first-round picks. So I have the 3rd pick in the draft, and then I have the 10th and either the 11th or 12th. So I'm just glad that I got into the top 3 where I can either get Genty, Shador, or Cam Ward. My team is decent.
Yeah, I will say with the.
But
Yeah.
I definitely have to rebuild. I made some huge trades this year. I was stacked at receiver, so I was able to trade Amon-Ra St. Brown for a first-round pick. I got a first, a second, and 2 players for him. I traded George Pickens for 2 first-round picks, a second-round pick, DeMario Douglas, and the running back for Vegas, Madison.
Oh, he's fleeced.
Oh, when that trade went through, that he offered me that trade, by the way.
Oh, so yeah. Well,
I looked at it, not trying to, have a situation in my pants, and I accepted it within about 20 minutes, and then the chat went crazy, and they're like, "You just pissed off 11 other teams." I go, "Correction, you pissed off 10 other teams," because I'm very happy.
Right.
But I have 7 draft picks in the next 2 years in the first two rounds, so on the up and up. But I don't think I'll do a regular fantasy football league again. The dynasty league is where it's at, man. It's like playing Madden. Our rosters are like 28 guys deep, and basically it's all trade.
Yeah, that's actually basically Madden.
New rookies.
Mm-hmm. I was gonna say.
I will say on the rookie part,
you got it, Andrew.
For at least receivers to not get one overhyped like how Marvin Harrison was this year. Like, cause I've never seen a rookie get that.
Oh, I took Marvin Harrison.
Like
I got Marvin Harrison on my.
Oh, you did.
I had the second pick in the draft, and I picked him.
Okay, I mean for redraft at least, like this year, that was a bad beat on that. Lawson, you're gonna say something?
Probably speaking of fleecing, so how we do like the trade, we don't have a trade committee, but if a trade gets accepted, it gets thrown in our chat. If it gets the majority of the thumbs up, it goes through.
Yep.
The guy who was the number 1 guy in our league, and the dude who I'm playing in the 3rd place game, he traded Lamar Jackson, Ladd McConkey, and Michael Pittman for Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase. And I was one of the few people that was like, can we not let this guy fleece, please?
Yeah.
And then trade ended up going through, and wow, he got the probably number one receiver, number and a top 3 quarterback for probably a top 5. And as good as Michael Pittman and Ladd McConkey were this year, they're not Jamar Chase. They're not going for a triple crown.
I got a breaking news. Speaking of Bengals, T. Higgins is officially questionable on the injury report released 2 minutes ago from Cincinnati. Ankle and knee for T. Higgins.
He got. I was gonna say he. Oh wow. He got wrapped up last week, and it was kind of. I don't like how people overreact to it was a dirty tackle, because it was low, and they continue to do like your alligator roll or whatever, but. I saw that, and he looked fine throughout the rest. I don't know if he, because it's just not breaking news. I don't know if he re-nicked it in practice or whatever the case may be. But if he can't go, PS2 is going to shade Jamar.
Yeah, definitely.
But fellas, I do have to leave.
Yeah.
I appreciate you guys' time. Thank you again for having me on.
I
hope to be on soon again, man. Take care, you guys. I got my family Christmas, so. I appreciate it.
Yep.
You guys had a good
Christmas again.
holiday yesterday. Merry Christmas, and I'll see you guys soon.
Merry Christmas. Yep. But yeah, we're gonna call it anyways. Lawson, where can we find your work?
You can check me out on Total Apex Bets. We do betting articles every week. We're currently tackling the entire Sunday slate. And it will all probably be done by Friday. So if you want to make some free money, or want to know how I think these games are going to go out, come tap in and let's get rich one slip at a time.
Yeah, Brandon.
Handles on the screen there. 30BOs. I'm probably going to get my quarterback and the Eagles Cowboys DFS articles out within tonight, tomorrow. Just depends if I'm out tomorrow, but I'm trying to get it done tonight. Rather get it done tonight so I don't have to worry about, just in case I do have to do something with family affairs tomorrow. But if the worst case scenario, I'll try to get it done Friday night and get it up Sunday, or we can get it up Saturday. So
yeah. One last shout out to Lawson, the birthday boy right here. Happy birthday, man! Thanks for all the hard work and everything and joining
Absolutely.
the show. But yeah, any final thoughts heading into it's basically the final week 'cause,
Essentially.
yeah, next week is gonna be a shit show. But yeah.
I cannot believe that the playoffs are already almost here.
Yeah.
It seems like just yesterday we were talking about Lions Rams as the first Sunday night, and I'm excited for the playoffs. There's plenty of storylines and plenty of stuff to cover, so I'm just excited overall.
Oh yeah, we're gonna keep rolling with the DFS showdown stuff for the playoffs. Follow Total Apex Sports, fantasy bets. We also have entertainment, gaming, lifestyle, all that. But yeah,